Welcome into BMOC's Bet Buffet, where we bring in big man on campus. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadu to go over 4 college football games that he really likes on this weekend's college football card. He went 3-1 last week, 16-12 overall, hasn't had a losing week yet this year in college football with the BMOC Bet Buffet. Let's bring him in. Jeff, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, Drew. Good to be back with you. Always enjoy doing the Big Man on Campus Bet Buffet. We'll look to put some money in your pocket or chicken in your pocket as we're talking about food here. Let's get it. I'm going 4-0 this week.
Good stuff. Starting off on Friday night, we got a good one in the Pac-12, the nightcap, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Washington State traveling to play Cal. Looks like Wazoo's laying -15. You can find a 53.5 at 5 dimes. 54.5 at Bet Online, big man. How are you looking to bet this Pac-12 nightcap?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, Drew, including myself, when you first looked at this line, even back when it was at 13.5, 14, or wherever, your general thought would be, I'm going to take the points there with Cal. I don't really feel comfortable laying this kind of number, Washington State. And the truth of the matter is, I mean, they're not a big favorite like this often, and they're not effective in this role. But you look at this team and you kind of peel back the onion and say to yourself, can Washington State win on the road? Yeah, they did it last week. They absolutely hammered Oregon, and they controlled that whole football game. That was their first road game. Now they go on the road to another tough atmosphere. When you look at Cal and really kind of look into what they've done this year, they're really what Cal normally is. They don't play any defense. They're 108th against the pass, which Luke Falk should be able to pick this team apart. And offensively, they've really not been able to do too much. Their run offense has been putrid. They have not been able to run the ball, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it here. We also have to point out, Drew, that we're starting to finally buy into the fact that Washington State has a pretty good defense. 7th in the country against the pass. They're also very high against the run as well. I think a lot of people are going to look at the fact and say, Washington State's going to slip up at some point. They're not going to lose to Cal. I think they win this game going away. Cal's a team that I think we have to stop falling in love with and saying they're good as an underdog. They're good in this kind of spot. Truth of the matter is they're just not a very good football team. They're not a team in the Pac-12 that you can trust. Has their defense improved? Yes, but we also have to look at the fact that maybe it hasn't. I mean, you gave up 45 points to Oregon. You gave up 38 to Washington State. I think this game's similar to those games, a game in which I just don't think they're on the level of Oregon or Washington State. Washington State's on a level right now where their thoughts aren't to just win the Pac-12 or go undefeated. They have a real feasible opportunity, Drew, to win the Pac-12 and go into the college football playoff. They're bigger fish to fry. You can't rest on your laurels. You have to go into Cal and take care of business here. This Cal program, you got to wonder where their head's at. A lot of question marks with the horrible fires that are going on around that area. It's just a tough spot, I think, for Cal here. Washington State is rolling right now. I just don't see them giving much of a problem to the Cougars in this game. I'll go like 38-20, something like that. I think they win by 18 to 24 points.
Moving on to the Saturday slate, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC. One of the more interesting matchups of the week. We got the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets traveling down to Miami to take on the Canes. We got some opinion in this one, big man. We have a line of -6 at 5 dimes, -5 at U-Wager. Also on the total, it's 53.5 at U-Wager and 52.5 at Chris. So different books taking different sides of where they're wanting to take bigger money. How are you looking to bet the Yellow Jackets and Canes on Saturday, big man?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting game. Obviously, you have Miami coming off of the big win. We gave that out on the show last week. They're coming in this game. The good thing is they're at home. I wonder about Georgia Tech's validity. First of all, on the road. In their one road game, it was canceled. In their other neutral site game, they gave up 41 points and lost to Tennessee. So you wonder about the validity of not only them on the road, but defensively. I mean, they faced, teams that, again, aren't very good. North Carolina, Jacksonville State, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. I think it's a little early to say that they're a high-level ACC team. Can they go in and spring an upset here? Yeah, it's a good spot for them, honestly. I mean, they're injured right now, Miami. Amon Richards might not play. Mark Walton's out. But, Drew, I'm actually going to look at the total in this game. I like the over. You look at you kind of the way these teams are programmed. Georgia Tech's a high-level rush offense. They're a team that's really going to have the ball for a long period of time, and they score touchdowns. They're a team that can really dominate you on the ground. And Miami's a good rush defense, not a great one. I think they're going to have some trouble. They've had trouble with the option. They're not losing games, though. That's the interesting thing. They've really controlled this option, and they're bending. They're not breaking. They're going to give up 20 points. Their goal is just really kind of put 30 on the board and beat Georgia Tech, which they've been able to do the last couple of years. 35-21, 38-21. They're bending, Drew. They're not breaking on defense. I look at Miami on offense. I think they're going to be able to move the ball against this Yellow Jacket defense. You look at the fact of who they played. They really haven't played a level of offense like Miami. I think Miami can move the ball and put up 30 to 35 points. I think Georgia Tech will get into the 20s. I just think this total is a little bit too low. Even look at the last couple of years. I mean, you have a 56-point total. You have a 59-point total. I think that's right where we see this game, 35-24, 35-21, something like that. I think it gets up and over to 52.5.
Okay, so your pick is the over, big man. But how are you feeling about a side? Because I'm interested in your opinion. I know you know the option teams very well, and this has turned into kind of a hell of a rivalry there in the ACC. Do you think that Georgia Tech can go in and come out with a W?
I think on paper it looks like a good spot for them to go and do it. But this is all about coaching, Drew. Letdowns are all about the coach and who you have leading your team. I think Mark Richt's a good coach. I think he'll have his team prepared. It's not like they have to go on the road and play this game, which is a little bit more tougher of a job to do. But Georgia Tech to me is a little bit of a fraud. I don't know how valid their wins are. I'm not sure how valid they are offensively. And defensively, I don't know what we have there either. Would I be surprised if they went in and covered? No, I think it's a good spot, but this Miami team's pretty legitimate. They're good on defense, and I'm kind of jumbled on the side, if you can tell. I want to take Miami because I really like this team. I think they'll win, but I think it might be a closer game than people think. I think Miami will win, but I don't have much on the side. It's a tough spot either way.
Okay, yeah, it will be a fun one to watch, that's for sure. Moving on to the night games here. We got one on ABC primetime, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Utah Utes traveling to LA to take on the USC Trojans. Looks like total-wise, a little opinion. Bet DSI hanging a 52, Bet Online a 53. Minus 13, the Trojans are laying at home pretty much across the board. How are you looking to bet this Pac-12 matchup, big man?
Yeah, I'm going to look at another total here. I'm going to go under 53 in this game. Utah Drew's an interesting team. Very good defensive team. 22nd in the country in scoring defense. Against the run, they're really good. 20th in the country, giving up just 3.6 yards a carry. The big question for me, Drew, I think they can stop Sam Darnold. They're going to stay in this football game. That's just what Utah does. Here's the problem for Utah. They are a totally different offense with Troy Williams in there over Tyler Huntley. Huntley was not only a dual threat quarterback, but he was fantastic. He could throw the football, had a good completion percentage. He just leads this offense better than Troy Williams does. All of their offensive categories have dropped significantly with Williams in the football game. Darren Carrington's numbers have went down considerably since Troy Williams has been in. And I can't not look at that and be a little concerned here with Utah and them being able to move the football effectively. They're just not as good as an offense with Huntley in there. They've transformed, and with Carrington there, we're a different offense. Ever since he's been out, if you look at their numbers, they've really tailed off. I don't like Troy Williams. He's a 50% completion percentage kind of passer. I don't trust him to be able to complete passes significantly. Can he run? Sure, but when you key in on that, he's a good quarterback you can really stop. I think their offense will be a little stagnant in this game, and I think defensively they'll come to play. The USC offense is good. I don't think it's great. It struggled at times this year. They struggled to cover last week. They ended up not covering. We saw them against Texas. I think this is a game similar to the game against Texas. I think it'll be a little bit more slowed down. I think Utah would try to win in the trenches, win on the ground, stopping the running backs USC. And Deontay Burnett may not play. So that's another weapon that might be out here. I just look at the overall game here. I just don't think it's a high up tempo offense, 38-31 type of game. I just don't see that. I think Utah will struggle to move the ball with Williams. It'll be interesting, Drew. Another thing is, will they at some point go to Cooper Bateman, Utah? He traveled and transferred to Utah. It'll be interesting to see if he gets any looks. He's a little bit more of a pocket passer. I'm just not confident that that Utah can put many points on the board. I'm going to look under the total. Pac-12, you've seen a lot of unders this year. I think that continues.
Yeah, I like that one, big man. Good call. All right, we got a nightcap here, 10:30 Eastern time on CBS Sports Network, 217, 218 on the rotation numbers. We got the Boise State traveling to San Diego State. It looks like the Aztecs are laying -7 pretty much across the board right now on SBR odds. BOL is hanging a 46 for the total. You wager a 47. You looking to bet this from a side or totals perspective, big man?
I'm looking at it from a side perspective, and I think people will be surprised. I'm going to take Boise State in this game. I think they're a pretty live dog in this one, and I know many will say to me, "Big man, you talk about Boise all the time. You don't say they're any good. They can't beat San Diego State." You'd be right. San Diego State's covered 4 in a row. They've covered 14 of 19 in this conference, but I saw something from Boise State last week. I saw Brett Rippon kind of get back into the feel of a game. He threw a touchdown pass. He's healthy again. Madison, their running back, Alexander Madison, had a huge game. I think the run game is going to be key for Boise. They were kind of one-dimensional. They were kind of stagnant on offense without the run game. He's really starting Madison to look like that Jeremy McNichols type of player. I look at San Diego State and I ask myself, have they blown down anyone this year? I mean, you look at every team they've played, with the exception of UNLV, they've all been close. And I'm also pointing out, I wonder about the validity of their pass defense. They have not played very many high-level pass offenses. I could see Brett Rippon coming in here, not Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon and Kozer coming in here and really kind of putting them on their heels a little bit. You look at the schedule. Stanford's not an elite passing offense. Arizona State's really started to run the ball a lot more. UC Davis, Air Force. The one team that can throw the football, Northern Illinois, stayed in that football game. I think San Diego State, they're a very good team. I just think this is one of those high-level Mountain West matchups. I like what I've seen lately from Boise State. We have to remember they were right in that game at Washington State. They blew a big lead, but they were right in that game. Defensively, they're 19th, Drew, in the country against the run, only giving up 3.1 yards a carry. Look for them to bottle up Penny a little bit. They're not going to do it totally, but the unfortunate part about the Aztecs are they're a little bit too dependent on Rashad Penny. If he's held up, they're going to be held up, I feel, as a group. They could go in here and batter Boise State, and that could look really stupid, but they haven't really done that this year. I don't really count UC Davis. Other than that, their games have been close. I look for this one to come down to the wire. I think it's a 28-23 type of game, 27-24. I think this game's going to be one, really just week to week. This is a Mountain West kind of game. Boise will be up for this game.
All right, big man. Well, great breakdowns, man. It looks like we're starting off Friday night, the Washington State Cougars -15. We also got the over in Georgia Tech Miami, which you can get at Chris right now at 52.5. We got Utah, USC. You're taking the under. The best number there is at Bet Online. And in the nightcap, you're going with Boise State Broncos +7, which you can pretty much get across the board at SBR odds right now. So anything else before we close this up, big man?
Yeah, I will say this. I don't buy half points very often. That's just not my style. I think buying the half a point in the Boise State game could prove really, something that could really help you at the end of the game. I could see that 35-28, 28-21. I'm usually in this business to win. I don't want to push. You can get it. I'm probably thinking around -120 juice. I would really recommend buying the half point in that game to 7.5. I don't do it often. I very much rarely ever do it. In this game, I think it could prove important.
All right, so how are we grading this one? Are you doing this 7.5 with extra juice?
We can do 7. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm a man that sticks by my word. I'm just telling the bettors, if you can get 120 or lower somehow on buying that half point, you maybe get special juice or something. I don't know, because you can get -7 at +100. I would recommend doing that, but I'll take the 7. I think it's within 4 points, Drew.
Okay. Yeah, for record-keeping purposes, we're on Boise +7. So good stuff, big man. Check him out on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. Big man on campus, thanks for joining. We'll talk next week for another BMOC Bet Buffet.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.